So, now today's topic is the what are the movements of the laryngeal cartilages by which there is the movement that is produced within the vocal fold to produce the voice as well as which is required for the inspiration and expression. Okay. Now, the movements are, what are the movements? Those you should remember. The movements are, that is, either these are adduction, that means the vocal folds I have already said in my previous class. So this is the vocal folds, membranous part and the cartilaginous part, this V shaped structure. Okay, so vocal folds, it is having the anterior membranous part, posterior cartilaginous part. So either these vocal folds are opposed together, so this is called adduction. If they are away from each other, they are going laterally, so this is called abduction. Okay, so first movement, so that is adduction, second movement, that is abduction, third movement, that is the tension of the vocal folds, so that the vocal folds are tense. Okay, so it is stretched, so it is required for the high pitch sound. Okay, now just opposite to the tensor, that means in case of normal condition, if the it is not stretched, it is relaxing. So this is a passive product, actually this is a passive process, but it is helped by one muscle I will name. So this is the relaxer. Okay, so these are the movements. So if the two membranous part here you can see they are opposed together, but here the cartilaginous part, they are going away from the midline by the contraction of the lateral cricoarytenoid. I have already said. So lateral cricoarytenoid, if they are contracting, obviously there is the rotational movement of the arytenoids, so that the gap in between the two membranous part of the vocal fold, it is reduced, but the gap in between the cartilaginous part, it is increased. So this is required for the whispering, to produce the whispering voice. Okay, now so this is done by, so lateral cricoarytenoid, number 1. So whispering sound, it is produced by which muscle of the larynx? So it is by the lateral cricoarytenoid. Now if the total portion of the vocal fold, if it is opposed together, that means membranous part, gap in between the two membranous part as well as cartilaginous part, it is reduced. So it is required for the production of the high pitched sound. Okay, so how it is produced? It is done by the contraction of the transverse arytenoid as well as oblique arytenoids. Okay, now if the posterior cricoarytenoid muscles, posterior cricoarytenoid I have already discussed, so this is the posterior cricoarytenoid. So if the posterior cricoarytenoid, they are pulling the muscular process, what is happening? So if the here the muscular process, it is here the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle is pulling the muscular process in this direction, so what should happen? So it is happening here. So what you can see here, the total gap, that means it is the gap in between the membranous part as well as the gap in between the cartilaginous part, it is increased. Okay, so that the total gap in between the two vocal folds, it is increased. It is required for here, that is the deep inspiration, you should remember, deep inspiration. Because of this, here the posterior cricoarytenoid, it is called the safety muscle of the larynx, safety muscle of the larynx. Okay, so here what you will see, so this is the aryepiglottic fold from the epiglottis. So you are looking, this is the posterior surface. So from the epiglottis anteriorly there is the tongue, so from the tongue to the epiglottis there is the median glossoepiglottic fold. Okay, from the epiglottis to the lateral margin of the tongue there is the lateral glossoepiglottic fold. Okay, in front of the lateral glossoepiglottic fold there is the vallecula. Okay, vallecula. Behind the lateral glossoepiglottic fold, and here you know this is the aryepiglotticus muscle along with the mucous membrane, this is the aryepiglottic fold. So this is the position which is called the pyriform fossa, you should remember, pyriform fossa. So medial to the pyriform fossa, that means here this is the boundary, this is called the aryepiglottic muscle, and there is the mucous membrane that is the fold, forming the fold along with the muscle. So this is the epiglottic fold. So in between the two epiglottic fold, laterally, anteriorly, there is the posterior surface of the epiglottis, and posteriorly there is a gap in between the two arytenoids as well as the muscles in between. So and the body of the cricoid cartilage. So this is forming the posterior margin. So this is forming the laryngeal inlet. So you should underline, this is the laryngeal inlet. This is very, very vital. So laryngeal inlet, it is closed by, in case of human being, by the apposition of the contraction of the two muscles laterally placed, and these are aryepiglottic muscle. You should remember. So aryepiglottic muscle, if they are apposed together at the time of deglutition, so these two muscles, they are contracting. Transverse arytenoid, oblique arytenoids, they are contracting. So they are here the two arytenoids, they are apposed together. So there is no gap in between this. Here the vocal folds and the laryngeal inlet is closed, so that it is preventing the entry of the food materials to the laryngeal inlet, through the laryngeal inlet or to the larynx. So in case of human being, we are unable to deglute at the along with the inspiration. So this is very, very vital. Okay. Now, so in between the, here you can see, so this is the vestibular fold and this is the vocal fold. Okay. Above there is a quadrangular membrane, there is the vocal membrane. So vocal membrane above, here this is continuous here to form the thickened membrane here, this is called the vocal fold. So in between the vestibular fold and the vocal fold, here you can see there is only the mucous membrane that is situated, it is covered by the mucous membrane. This is called the sinus of the larynx. It is very, very important, sinus of the larynx. Okay. Now here this vestibular fold, it is very, very important because it will allow the entry of air, but it will prevent the exit of air. Okay, it will allow the entry of air, you should remember, but it is occurring reverse in case of the vocal fold. Vocal fold will allow the exit of air. So in between the allowing of the air and the exit of the air, they are doing the actions in reverse way. Because of this, in between allowing air and the exit of the air, there is some gap or pause, and this is required for the relaxation of the diaphragm. So this is very, very vital. So this upper fold or the, here the vestibular ligament or the vestibular fold is allowing the entry of inspiratory air. Okay, but it will preventing the exit. Okay, and opposite that is occurring in case of, that is the vocal fold. So vocal fold will allow the exit of air, but it will prevent the entry of air. So when one ligament is relaxing, the other one is contracting. So this is very, very vital. Okay. Now these muscles, all the muscles of the larynx, they are supplied by, here you know, that is by the recurrent laryngeal nerve, except one muscle, and this is the, here the cricothyroid. Okay, it is supplied by the external laryngeal nerve, it is supplied by external laryngeal nerve. Here one thing you should remember, so here this is the inferior corner of the thyroid cartilage, which is forming the synovial joint with the lateral surface of the, here the cricoid cartilage. Can you see? Synovial joint, you should remember, this is the synovial joint. Behind the joint there is the recurrent laryngeal nerve is present, recurrent laryngeal nerve is present. Okay. So during the thyroid surgery, here you should remember, either recurrent laryngeal nerve or the external laryngeal nerve may be cut, or both can be cut. Okay. So the surgeon should be cautious to prevent the injury of the nerve. Okay. So this, if the recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut, so all the muscles are paralyzed except the cricothyroid. Cricothyroid muscle I have already said. So cricothyroid muscle is the tensor of the, here the vocal folds. So how the cricothyroid muscle is doing the function? So here you can see the continuous line, this is the normal position of the thyroid cartilage. Dotted line, it is the position of the thyroid cartilage after the contraction of the cricothyroid. Here can you see? So this is the cricothyroid muscle. So cricothyroid muscle is coming from the lateral surface of the cricoid cartilage. up to the inferior margin of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. So, if the muscle are contracting, obviously the lamina of the thyroid cartilage is descending downward and forward. So, dotted line is the position of the here the thyroid cartilage. Okay. So, if the thyroid cartilage is descending downward and forward, obviously this is the position of the vocal fold. So, vocal fold will become tense. This vocal fold will become tense. So, tensor of the vocal fold. Which are the muscles? One muscle is vocalis, another muscle is cricothyroid. So, it is very important. So, if the recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut or injured in one side, in that case here that sided all muscles will be paralyzed except the cricothyroid. So, what should happen to that side? Here the if that cricothyroid is remain intact, cricothyroid is doing function normally, obviously what should happen? That sided vocal fold will be paramedian in position, or it can cross the midline. Because of this, here if the one sided recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut, the patient will not have any difficulty in respiration, but the patient can have the the hoarseness of the voice. Okay. So, here this is the first condition. Second condition, if one sided recurrent laryngeal nerve it is cut along with the here injury to the external laryngeal nerve, that means here all the muscles including the cricothyroid of that side are paralyzed. Because of this, here the that sided vocal fold will be abducted much more, and here the patient here will not have any difficulty in case of the respiration, but the patient will have the severe hoarseness of the voice. Okay. Now, if the both sided external laryngeal nerve it is cut along with the recurrent laryngeal nerve, in that condition both the vocal folds they will be here, that is the they are away from the midline. Okay. The here that is what is happening. So, recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut, recurrent laryngeal nerve cut, that means here the safety muscle, that is the posterior cricothyroid, that is also cut. So, if both the cricothyroid or posterior cricoarytenoid are here, they are cut, both the posterior cricoarytenoid they are cut. In that condition, here what is happening? So, here the safety muscles I have already said. So, posterior cricoarytenoid muscle it is required for the abduction. So, if the posterior cricoarytenoid it is cut, in that case here the abduction of the vocal folds are not possible. So, they are coming close to each other, So, here the patient will suffer from, that is the difficulty in inspiration. It is very important. It is there is the difficulty of inspiration. Okay. So, if both sided external laryngeal nerve as well as recurrent laryngeal nerve are cut, so this condition it is called the cadaveric position of the vocal folds. So, you should remember. So, here this vocal fold is important in that the nerve supply as well as the here the lymphatic drainage, because here what you will see or the blood supply. So, vocal folds, above the vocal folds here the supply of the here the mucous membrane is supply, sensory supply, it is by here what we will see, that is the internal laryngeal nerve of vagus, but below the vocal folds it is supplied by the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay. Above the vocal fold the artery supply is the superior thyroid artery, below the vocal fold inferior thyroid artery, above the vocal fold venous drainage by the superior thyroid vein, below by the inferior thyroid veins. Okay. And the lymphatic drainage here also above the vocal folds it is to the jugulodigastric and the prelaryngeal group of lymph nodes, but below the vocal folds it is to the paratracheal group of lymph nodes. Because of this the vocal fold is called, that is the watershed line. So, you should remember why the vocal folds are called watershed line, and in case of applied portion what are the different injuries they are occurring, and what are the here the effects of that injury, either one sided or both sided, external laryngeal nerve injury or the recurrent laryngeal nerve injury. Recurrent laryngeal nerve injury, that means here there is the opposite muscle that will take upper hand, that is the cricothyroid. Because of this there is the paramedian position. So, paramedian position, that means here there is the hoarseness of the voice production is defective. Okay. So one sided, if it is one sided paralysis recurrent laryngeal nerve, in that case patient is not usually having the difficulty in respiration. But if it is both sided recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut, in that case here the posterior cricoarytenoid, that is the safety muscle, so here there is no abduction of the vocal folds, so patient is having the difficulty in respiration. So you should remember. Okay. Now here what you should see, that is here I have already said. So this is the vocal folds, this is the body of the cricoid cartilage, here posterior cricoarytenoid, so these are the arytenoids, so these are the lateral cricoarytenoids, so these are the posterior cricoarytenoid. So lateral cricoarytenoid muscle when contracting, so here the what you will see, there here the gap in between the two cartilages or cartilaginous part of the vocal fold, it is increased. So here you can see, so this is occurring here. So lateral cricoarytenoid muscle is contracting, obviously the gap it is increased. So this is the whispering position of the vocal folds. Okay, and this is the contraction of the posterior cricoarytenoid, so there is the abduction. Okay, so if these two muscles are contracting, so there is the abduction. Okay, so these are the muscles and the applied of relations of the applied part of the larynx. Okay, thank you.